Today in the crypto space, we're getting a slight pullback throughout the market. Bitcoin right around that $65,000 level. Ethereum still hovering around that $3,000 mark. And the rest of the crypto space, a mix of green and red. We do have some good gainers like Chainlink and Phantom, Theta as well. But look at Render and Stacks coming down to those lower levels. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator. But more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, part of a very bullish narrative. And that project is called Maple. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it. Guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of this volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on with this market. Guys, we see Bitcoin getting a bit of a pullback. Okay, you know, this is what happens, especially as you approach resistance, as we approach levels of which character of structures tend to want to change, and we'll take a look at that change of character on Bitcoin at the current moment. We did get a bit of that rejection. You can see the overall market cap of the crypto space is falling just a little bit here in a bit of a retracement. The trading volume also is pulling back, but guys, it does look like there's a trend here in both market cap and trading volume. Look at this. We're making some higher highs and higher lows all of a sudden. So it could be that this is just a temporary pullback before we see the overall market cap continue to the upside and see the crypto space basically recuperate some of the market cap that was lost. We're seeing, you know, a lot of the traditional economic factors looking pretty bullish, or at least safe for that matter, to get into, you know, speculative assets. And of course, crypto being one of them, we could see some good green price action in the next little while. Okay, so that's that. Bitcoin definitely looking okay, you know, nice rally to the upside, and now we're getting a bit of a pullback today. No big deal. Ethereum, you know, actually looking not as good as it's supposed to be, right around that $3,000 mark. Regardless of what's happening with Bitcoin, you can see that Ethereum is not pulling its own weight here. We have a lot of the other altcoins pulling their weight. BNB, for that matter, is taking a bit of a dip. You know, it's about 3% to the downside. Not a good look. Making a lower high. Maybe we come down for that lower low. Not a good look if it does, of course. BNB has been holding its own in the last little while. In fact, looking really bullish in comparison to the other large caps in the top 10 even. So a lot of great stuff here, up 4% for the day, which is great. However, still in a retracement. Although it's up, it would have been up a lot higher if it wasn't retracing. We have XRP doing its thing, going sideways here after a small pop to the upside. And the general market right now is pretty much confused. We have Toncoin coming down 5%. I'm interested in Toncoin. I already bought into Toncoin way back, way back. But I wouldn't mind increasing my position size on a nice retracement. So let's see what happens there. I'm going to have Toncoin on my list, my radar, just in case we get an opportunity for a quick trade, get in, get out type of scenario, because Toncoin at the end of the day, you know, if it comes up with a nice bullish pattern, you know, for a retracement to the upside, I'll definitely get in. What else do we have here? We have Doge looking okay. The trend is still our friend there. Cardano waking up a little bit. Do we, you know, is there a trend, and is it going to be our friend? Pretty much. Look at that. Nice impulsive move, retracement. Do we get another impulsive move? And as we go through the market, you can kind of see that, you know, some of the major players out there are still doing great. Like Near Protocol, okay, fine, it's in a retracement, but big deal. Near Protocol has been cranking in the last little while. Chainlink is tearing it up, doing great. It's up 7%. That's a good indication that the Ethereum ecosystem could be waking up as well, because Ethereum is very dependent on Chainlink as an oracle. So this is a good indication that maybe ETH might start waking up soon. What else do we got here? FET and a lot of Uniswap. I would like Uniswap to be the additional confirmation for the ETH narrative, because as the main DEX for ETH, Uniswap, you know, getting a nice pop to the upside is a great indication. And of course, the reason why I'm talking about ETH as a narrative is because if ETH as a narrative does well, we have another indication of which we could be starting an altcoin season, which a lot of us want to kind of see, because the reality is we've been scaling into those altcoins all this while. You know, understanding that the volatility is there, the potential gains are there, and scaling at the bottom of the range is the only way we're going to do it. But we do need to see a bit of a catalyst for the altcoins, you know, a green light. And usually it's Ethereum that gives us the green light. What else do we have here? A bit of sideways for H bar. We have render pulling back to lower levels, down approximately 6%. All good. Our render's been, you know, definitely grinding all the way to the upside in the last little while. So render taking a bit of a break is no big deal in my book. We have IMX kind of going sideways. It's up 13% for the week, for the last 7 days, so it's still not bad. We have Cosmos and a lot of projects kind of looking iffy, like, you know, kind of going sideways, retracing. Look at stacks down 7%, part of the Bitcoin narrative as well. It's almost like, you know, a leveraged position on the Bitcoin chart, if you want to think about it that way. And generally speaking, the market is a bit indecisive. Phantom is doing great. Phantom is definitely doing good, 13% to the upside. Good stuff for Phantom holders, of course. Thorchain Rune has been doing well. It's up 4% still. Even if the market's in a pullback, we see it looking pretty good. Core is making a comeback, 12% to the upside. I'm not in on Core. I think I'm going to pass. I can't get in on everything. And guys, don't think that you need to be holders of all these projects. Just choose your top ones. And for me, Core's not it. I'm not really interested. I'll move on from Core. Algorand, I would like to see Algorand recuperate. I do have a bag of Algorand that needs a bit of attention. And we see Algorand coming down. Quant, I don't have any Quant, but Quant is still looking very meek here at about $95. Unfortunately, below the $100 mark. And unfortunately, still around that $100 level. Okay, so that's not a good look for Quant. What else do we have here? We have some good price action here and there. Safe is doing great. Nice run to the upside, 17%. Wormhole still coming down. Hopefully find its bottom very, very soon. And that's about it, guys. You know, the overall market currently is mixed. You know, we do have still some good gainers that are going against the grain. We do have some bigger retracements that are, you know, stronger than most. But really, it's a mixed bag today. It's one of those days where you get a lot of indecision. In fact, this price action could be very, very choppy, where people start to get wrecked. So, you know what? Right now, we can focus on Bitcoin. We can look at altcoins that have great opportunities, great risk to reward ratios, and I think that's a better use of our time instead of trying to pick a bottom. At the current moment, we see that we could be coming down for a bit of a retracement. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, and we're using Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and then we'll take a look at Maple to see what kind of opportunities we have in this market. We should focus on Bitcoin and then look at what Maple has to offer, because if Maple's at good horizontal support as Bitcoin is rounding over here and getting that bounce to the upside, we could see a major move in some of those bullish projects. All right, guys, let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. We have Bitcoin still looking great. Okay, yesterday, guys, hopefully you were sticking around yesterday for my updates. We did talk about the fact that Bitcoin could get a bit of a rejection here. And this is why I was like, guys, it's all good if you want to take a bit of profit. It's all good if you want to take 10% off the top and trail up a stop loss. And this horizontal line here, it has been here for a good while, to the point that I even left the fib levels here, which is the golden pocket right around the zone. So you can imagine people here are front running. Right? They're front running. And not only are they front running, but there could be algorithmic, you know, take profits, sell orders, shorts, whatever you want to call it. There could be algorithmic orders placed at that level on exchanges. And this is why you usually get a quick response at those critical zones. Those quick responses eventually get bought up, or, you know, a reaction to the opposite, in the sense that we could come right back to this level again and test it for true value, to test to see if it, in fact, the market feels like it should roll over. And we could be knocking these horizontal resistances. We can knock right through it eventually. I think it's too early to tell. I think that this is the first indication. Look at the last time we kind of did that, right? Eventually it led to a reversal, right? But as we keep on coming to these zones and hitting these horizontal levels, eventually we could break out and start hitting the tops, which means the top of the range at about 72. We were prepared for this, guys. This is the change of character of this little structure that we got going down here. In fact, it's not a little one, guys. We're talking about the daily, so this structure is, you know, pretty important. At the end of the day, it does look like an inverse head and shoulder, you got to admit. So it looks pretty good. If we break this level, Okay, we broke the diagonal already, the trend. Now we're breaking structure by breaking above this previous high. I don't think the bulls are done just yet. Okay, we got to see what kind of response we get back at these levels for another shot to see if we can break through. But at the end of the day, as long as Bitcoin is above the $61,000 mark, more or less, because we can come down a little bit lower, about 60,500. At the end of the day, I am still in a bullish stance, and I was very clear about this thesis because ultimately this is the level where we start coming down for a potential lower low, which might take us down to about 52K. So emotionally, psychologically, and of course economically, I am prepared for this scenario. I am prepared for both. At this current moment, at least I am happy that I took risk at this zone. And I was very clear about that this was a healthy risk to reward ratio opportunity with a nice stop loss underneath these lows. All right, guys, so that's my take here on Bitcoin. Nothing really has changed, even though we did get a bit of a rejection. You know, the market works in peaks and valleys. No straight green candles to the upside. And again, I was very clear about that yesterday. And that way you can prepare your emotions for these scenarios when they come. If you can just psychologically prepare yourself, that is basically staying one step ahead of the market. All right, guys, let's take a look at Maple. Guys, a project, definitely a project that we should be aware of, especially in this cycle. Why? Because the narrative, their narrative is a hot one. We're talking about the real world asset narrative. Okay, so we have a lot of competitors, a few competitors in this space, all very low market cap projects. Why? Because it's a newer narrative. This narrative is not one that has a lot of maturity, a lot of capital involved. The market cap is still low, so we have a lot of opportunity here, particularly for the up and coming bull run, where you can see the tops. These things could be major gainers. So we have a few, obviously Maple, and we have Goldfinch and many others that part of this DeFi real world asset type of DeFi scenario. So pretty good here. Now at the end of the day, we are in a retracement again. We came back to the bottom of the range. What's interesting to me is that, you know, I was preparing for this accumulation range to act as support, and this is why I put this yellow box. Basically wake up, because it could be a level, and this level didn't really play out, which is totally fine. But this level, as you know, the volume gaps get respected. I was hoping that, you know, we could come down and potentially make a bull flag and make some sort of structure in here where we can, you know, potentially get in for another move to the upside, but it didn't happen. You know, we got a bit of divergence. Let's see what we got here. A bit of divergence. Look at this high on the purple oscillator. Nice and high. The momentum is nice and high right here. And then look at the last time we made that higher high right here. We can see we're making a lower high on the momentum. So this is class A bearish divergence. Unfortunately, that's what's happening, and we are getting the follow through from that divergence already. The thing is what I like the most, and we'll talk about oscillators a little bit more. What I like the most is that we're respecting the top of the volume gap, the thick yellow line. So what I'm going to do is kind of remove this, because that level, that watch level, is no longer important as we fell right through. But this level, as I do have green arrows, right? These green arrows are usually the levels that you got to watch out for, and even the red ones, green and red, those are levels. Now, in this case, what I would be liking, what I would like to do, because this was levels of which you should be taking risk. The green arrow down here is interesting, very interesting. Why? Because this is a level that the bulls need to protect. Because if we break below this previous low, we make a lower low, officially a lower low, but we already made higher high. We made higher highs. Do we come down for a lower low with a higher high? That's kind of weird. So are we changing a bit of character? Are we going to respect the structure by making higher highs and potentially a slightly higher low at this current moment? Guys, it's the last line in the sand, right? That's the type of thing, because if we do break below and make that lower low, guess where we're going? We're going to about $7.50. Okay, right through the volume gap. Not much volume here to act as support as we come down. We do got a bit of a spike of volume right here from this price action, but if you exclude it and you look at just this pop right into this level, you can see that it's pretty weak. It's not very strong, and if we exclude more, maybe it shows a little bit more of the reality of this pop, right? So it looks pretty weak. Now we do have a spike of volume right into here that it's probably, it correlates with this right here, this little spike, but could it act as support? Just be aware that it could. It's still very weak in comparison to all of this, but it could. But honestly, guys, right now where we are getting support on this horizontal support is not a bad opportunity to take a bit of risk. The only thing that I would say is be prepared for these lower levels. Okay, that's it. psychologically and portfolio wise, prepare, because if you buy in at these levels right now, you can see that we got a nice bounce today, very nice bounce off of those horizontals. In fact, it could be considered a nice confirmation. That W could be a nice confirmation that we're ready to start moving up again and seeing this thing recuperate previous highs and maybe even get into price discovery. So you're still kind of early, but just understand that we could still come down and touch this horizontal, and in fact we could still come down and fall through this volume gap. So that's quite important that to keep an eye on. Now this diagonal, honestly, not important anymore. It wasn't even important to begin with, because really we got to 200 daily giving us the same signal, and I just put it in here to just say, look, ultimately if we can respect this, it would be great, but we're not respecting it. We're scrubbing right through it. The 200 daily is not even being respected at the current moment, so we got to understand that if we do get rejected on the 200 daily, it's very likely that we start coming down further. Now I know what the bears are going to be looking at. Okay, just get into a bearish stance for a second. Very important that you become a bull with bearish clothing, because at the end of the day, if you are really looking at this from a bearish perspective, what you're hoping for is this becoming a bear flag, where we eventually break down bearish, where this becomes a continuation pattern, right? So a bear flag, impulsive move, bear flag, continuation, we come down to 250. That's what the bears are talking about. However, based on risk to reward from a bullish perspective, if we see signs of bullish divergence into these two bottoms and we continue going sideways and maintain the bullish divergence, risk to reward is healthy. And let me show you what I mean. Let's say we can get in right around here. I'm going to put it very hypothetical, because what you have to do is try your best to get as closest to invalidation. And invalidation in this case is right underneath this horizontal, right? That's where invalidation is. So you want to put a stop loss right underneath there, more or less. Obviously, maybe you can give it a bit of wiggle room. You get what I mean, right? I'm not going to nickel and dime there. You guys can come up with your precise entries, but right around here is not a bad time to, in this area, is to accumulate. Hopefully we come down for a dip so you can get that opportunity. But if you get in right now, just think about it. Your risk to reward ratio, just getting to the top of the range, just right around here where risk does come into play, you're doing okay. You're doing that. It's a 3 to 1, 3.2 to 1 for that matter. And it's up 60% with an 18% loss. It's not bad. Now, if you do improve your entry and start to, DCA at lower levels, still keeping and maintaining your invalidation, you can improve your ratio by DCAing and at the same time increase your position size. So it's important that when you have a DCA strategy, that your position size starts off small. That way you're not overexposed as you DCA and as it comes down, and DCAing as it comes down, you're not overexposed, your position size is not massive, and so on and so forth. So this is important, because if we do get this bounce at this level, it's likely that we start coming back up to the top of the range and maybe testing this previous high. And I would say that would be a good time to start taking a bit of profit, trailing up a stop loss and that kind of thing. Obviously not exiting your entire positions, because if your overall thesis is that we are in a bull run, we should see Maple do very well and keep on going to the upside and getting into price discovery. But again, what about if we fall through that volume gap? You'll stop yourself out and come down to about 750, wait for structure to build down here, some W's, inverts, head and shoulders, cup and handles, type of things like that with bullish divergence, and then we'll get in with another position. And hopefully then we can get that bounce, but not only will we get the bounce down there, but we'll also take profit all the way up here, which means that you're going to have a bigger move to the upside, and hopefully that, that's the case. I honestly don't think the market is trying to make a lower low here and, get into a very bearish stance. I think we are ready to start moving bullish into this market. However, be prepared either way. Let's look at the momentum oscillators, guys. The indicator right now is the momentum oscillator right now is telling us that momentum, the expansion to the downside, is pretty much done. Okay, you can see that it's done. Now, do we get a green expansion forming right into here as we did in the past? We're looking for something like this, a nice big solid green one, and that would give us an indication that we're ready to expand upwards. Now, the dark area right in between, from when we go from bullish to bearish expansion, basically is a level of which we get a tight consolidation. Now, this is probably what we're building right now. We're building that tight consolidation before we get an expansion. Now, the question is it going to be green, or are we going to open up red again and come back down? I feel like it would be an appropriate time to expect the bulls to get in on this expansion. Now, we do see a nice double bottom. If we exclude the wicks, it is slightly lower high. A slightly lower low right into here. Very slight. As you can see, we got to exclude the wicks, okay? Slightly lower low, while the momentum is making a slightly higher low, which is class A bullish divergence. Very slight, but it's there. Now, the only concern that I have at the current moment is the fact that the momentum didn't get oversold. So that possibility is still lingering. It's still there. Now, if the purple line does get oversold and it drops below the 30% mark, I will expect that the price drops to about 750. So keep in mind that there is still that possibility. Now, looking left with regards to momentum, the last time we got oversold is right around here. Ever since, we've been pushing upwards with bullish divergence. In fact, we got that bullish divergence and we're getting the follow through. Do we get oversold at this moment? Now, this is why I'm saying it's important that you DCA. It's important that you get in, build a position out into here, and then reserve about 50% of that capital to buy the dip down here if you want to do that approach. Or if you stop yourself out, just make sure you reaccumulate down here again after we build that little a potential structure that we can again put a stop loss underneath and get in with a bit of confidence, okay? Because you don't want to catch a falling knife even to the downside, because who knows where upon this wall of price action do we get the support. It could be 750, it could be 650. Right around this area you can see this whole wall of volume that needs to act as support at that zone. So that's my take here. I think that we're ready to transition from a bearish stance to a bullish stance, and it would be very nice for this horizontal support to be that, you know, scenario, that horizontal support that causes it to happen. Now, if we look at the trend, the overall trend, I like that the fact that the EMAs are pushing upwards. You can see that we're getting a few peaks and valleys, but to the upside where EMAs are facing up, we got two drives of bullish divergence, multiple dips of expansions to the downside with regards to trend. However, it is diverging in comparison to the price action. Price action, you know, is not going in the same direction as it was coming down here. In fact, even this lower, slightly lower low is getting a divergence with the trend. So really cool here. And we got the MACD looking pretty good. EMA's facing up, green histogram bars to the upside. I do feel like the EMA is trying to get into the bullish control zone, similar to what happened here. We might get a few ebb and flows and slowly get some confidence, but as soon as we start moving there, look what we get. Massive expansions, right? Moves to the upside, and look what happened with that expansion. This is what happened, that big move to the upside. So what I'm feeling is that over time, similar to what we did here, we might bounce around here for the next little while, even come down one more shot to hunt liquidity and get people wrecked with those stop losses that are very tight under here. So you got to give yourself a bit of wiggle room, and if you get stopped out, you might want to, you know, get yourself back in on a back test or something like that. But this is the time to pay attention. This is the time to DCA and build a position. If we get into lower time frames, there's not much really to offer. As you can see, that's a very similar state. The expansion is basically tapering off here on the 4-hour and waiting for a green expansion to the upside. We might want to wait for the momentum to come down to oversold conditions and the volatility, and then start moving to the upside over time. The trend is also moving up here on the 4-hour. I like this horizontal support. I see a lot of good volume into this level. I say that it would be a decent time to put in a bit of risk, keeping in mind that we could come down for another little dip through the volume gap. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. I'll be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern taking requests. Take care, have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.